Hey everyone, welcome back to another Elden Ring video. I hope that everybody is having an absolutely fantastic day, and I hope that you guys are enjoying playing Elden Ring as well. But in today's video, I want to go over just a little bit of some of the patch updates that took place because they significantly increased the amount of damage that my build that I released yesterday does. So if you guys first and foremost haven't checked out that video, this is going to be kind of a video in addition to that, and I highly recommend that if you want to know all the basics and what I'm using and where you can find all of the weapons and the talisman, that you guys go ahead and check out that video. Now, the only addition that we're going to be adding to this video is I will be adding another weapon that scales with Arcane as well. But one of the weapons that I was already using, actually two of the weapons I was already using anyway in that build that I released yesterday, are still using the same two weapons. They have just been increased because I was able to find more smithing stones and somber smithing stones, so that I was able to increase it up to its full potential, because I already had pretty much a lot of the other ones anyway. I was just looking for something very specific, and I needed something to get past a certain point so that I could upgrade the rest of it. But anyway, the additions or the improvements to the Arcane actually scaling correctly now makes this even that much more stronger, and I highly recommend that you guys check out this build. So again, check out that previous video, but let's go ahead and kind of just talk about some of the changes that have been made. And if we take a look at, say, my equipment here, the only talisman that I changed compared to the one that I released yesterday is I added the Rotten Wing Sword insignia. Now, you can't get this until you go to the Haggletree anyway, which is going to be right before you fight Malenia, or I guess depending on how you decide to go into that fight, or if you even are following Millicent's story quest, which if that's how you're going to get this, you get basically two options. You do her entire story quest. I'm not even going to tell you how to do it. You're going to end up at the tree together. You're going to meet her in the prayer room. You're going to talk to her there, complete her dialogue, and then you go further into the tree, and eventually you'll meet her again. And ultimately you get the choice of either fighting her or fighting with her, so challenging or fighting with her, and either one will give you a reward. And I chose to assist her and aid with her and fight with her, that I was able to get the Rotten Wing Sword insignia, which hugely benefits this build. So it greatly raises the attack power and the success of attacks within this build. The one that I replaced it with, I still was using the Winged Sword insignia, but it only raised the attack power with the success of attacks. But using the Elnora's Pole Blade and the Rivers of Blood weapons, their special abilities, the Corpse Piler and the Blood Blade Dance, are incredibly fast, and they will almost always give you that success of attacks. So with this build, we're going to be increasing our power and restoring our HP just because of those successive attacks, and then being in the vicinity of some blood loss, which all of the weapons that we're currently using will provide, is going to also increase our attack power. And then if you use the Great Rune of Raynark, that boss, or what, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, but the boss from Volcano Manor, you can get HP restored just by attacking enemies. So ultimately you're going to have infinite health, and you're going to be attacking so incredibly quickly that you're going to have those successive attacks and allow you to even do that much more damage. So restoring all of your HP that you're taking, you don't even have to really even move out of the way that often. Maybe in some of the more powerful fights you do, but running around the Haggletree and also around the mountaintops of the giants with this specific build, I don't really even have to get out of the way all too often, which is absolutely incredible. So I was using the Blood Uchigatana anyway, and also the Rivers of Dance with my original build. The only thing that I added to, and I already was using it from time to time anyway, I just didn't include it in the specific build from yesterday, was the Pole Blade. And now I really recommend that you use it just because that's scaling with the Arcane. If you were to look at all three of these weapons, you would say that the Pole Blade does the least amount of damage because of its attribute scaling, and you would think that the Blood Uchigatana actually does the most because of its scaling because of the strength and dexterity being lower and the arcane being the same on all of them. So you would look at this and go, oh, well, I need to use the Blood Uchigatana. It's a great weapon. I still really recommend it. However, I would recommend putting an Ash of War on there that is something very quick, and it's going to allow you to get those successive attacks that you can go ahead and break their stance and then go ahead and get in those critical hits that you really need to have happen with this build. The more hits that we can get, the more power that we're going to get, the more times that we can stagger that enemy, and the more times that we can have those critical hits being completed, which is what we want to do. And if you saw at the very beginning of the video, when I was trying to use Seppuku, and it's a great Ash of War, and you're going to do a lot of damage with it, but it's just not as quick as I need it to be, and it doesn't break the stances of a lot of the enemies as fast as I want. And the more times that I've tried it, the more times I've died just from practicing with it. Now, obviously, it's going to take a little bit more finesse, but it is an Ash of War that you can use. But in my personal opinion, I would use something different. If we could have the Waterfall Dance, like on Malenia's sword, that you can get as a reward for defeating her, that Ash of War on the Blood Uchigatana would make it incredibly powerful. Now, I don't know if that Ash of War exists. I don't have it. I don't know if it's anywhere in the game, but if you guys know for sure either way, then by all means go ahead and leave a comment down below. But something quick would be really good. Or I really like the Bloodhound's dance, just because it allows me to get in and out of a fight really quickly without having to roll, and it gives us a greater distance between our enemy and ourselves, which will either allow us to heal if we need to use a flask, or give us refill our FP if needed. Whatever the situation is, we can get in and out of a fight really quickly, and we can dodge, I feel, a lot more effectively. So I would prefer Bloodhound's step versus the Seppuku, or something a little bit quicker over the Seppuku. It's more of a personal preference, whatever one you would really prefer, but that's the one that I would use. But the weapon that I really like, and I had liked even with the vampire build that I released yesterday, is the Rivers of Blood. This thing has so many stance breaks, and I'm allowed to get in and get critical hits. It is insane. This build right here is what allowed me to defeat Malenia, and I am super excited with how this thing turned out. So anyway, I'll quickly go over these 3 locations of these weapons, even though these 2 were already being used anyway. And I'll also tell you guys where you can get Seppuku, just because I didn't in my vampire build. So if we go ahead and take a look at the map, the Rivers of Blood can be found at the Church of Repose right here in the mountaintops of the Giants. For the most part, once you get into this area, there's going to be a map somewhere like in this area right here. And then you're going to find the second piece somewhere up in this area. I can't remember exactly where it's at. And then you can ride all the way over to the Church of Repose right here. And then you're going to fight an NPC that's going to invade you. Once you defeat them, then you're going to get Rivers of Blood. The only spot that you might have a little bit of a trouble, because a lot of it's blocked off, is right here by this garrison. There's a lot of wood spikes that are put up, and there's a lot of enemies in that area. Now, the Seppuku, if you guys want to get it, it's going to be obtained right here on the ice. It's an invisible Arab that you're going to have to go ahead and find, and just time it right, and you'll be able to get Seppuku if you want it. The Eleanor's Pole Blade, or Eleanor's Pole Blade, or whatever, is going to be found at the Second Church of America, which is going to be right here, and you can get it pretty much right when you get into the Athos Plateau area. You can either take the lift up, or you can take the hidden way into it, and that's the way that I originally had taken, and you end up right here at the Erdtree Grazing Hill. You just need to follow this road to the north and just come right over here, and that's really all you really need to do, and it's easy peasy, just like that, which makes it really nice to go ahead and get. And again, you'll be invaded by another NPC, kill them, and you'll be rewarded the Pole Blade. Now, as far as the Uchigatana, it doesn't necessarily have to be a blood Uchigatana, but you find that over in the very beginning area, and that is going to be located right here at the Death-Touched catacombs, which you can find relatively easy. But if this video did help you guys out or found it more informative, it's the way that I have it set up now is the way that I'm going to finish the game, and it is extremely powerful, and I highly recommend that you guys use it right now. But until next time, YouTube, you guys keep doing what you're doing because you're already doing it, and you guys stay gaming.